वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। A difficult question from the point of view of other people, not at all a difficult question from my point of view. In the year 1979-80, one Swiss lady came to me. She was a very good friend of an Indian whom I knew. I was seeing her horoscope, and I was seeing lot of trouble to her in her job, to her sister, and also to her father. She had come to me at a time when really she had run into a very bad patch astrologically. A Swiss woman, talking English, which I was finding it very difficult to understand, still some sort of communication was possible when I started writing and showing to her. Now, in prescribing Shanti of this type, how do I deal with a Swiss woman who I know would have come with a background of Roman Catholic religion? Right? So I said, I looked at it, I said, I read many diaries of D.H. Lawrence, and I heard about beautiful churches in Switzerland. I don't know, I have not been there. She said, yes, there are. I said, I suggest you go to any church where the idol of Christ appeals to you. The moment you enter, if you say, well, this is very attractive. The church may be very magnificent, but the idol may not attract you. So I used my common sense. I said the conception of Ishta in this case should be a church which appeals to her most. Okay, go there. Go there and sit there in the lonely hours when there is no crowd. Sit down, just look at the image of Christ, leave your worries there. Pray to Him, leave your worries and come out. And cultivate that as a habit. And I very mildly told her about her troubles. She understood what I was hinting at. Next 2 years she went through hell. She survived it. Every year she comes to India, and every year she spends 2 days with me. Every year she comes to India and takes readings from me. This lady wrote a very sweet letter to me, which I will quote in some book someday, if she gives me permission. She said, I have learnt more about Christianity and Bible from a Hindu Brahmin than from any other Christian. So there is no barrier. You should know how to worship God. Find out your own method. But worship God is what you must do when you are believing in astrology, when you do astrology. An astrologer without spiritual discipline, an astrologer without belief in God, will get lost in the maze, in the labyrinth of hundreds of different combinations, and will not know its meaning. In the case of an Indian, it becomes much more important. Why? Now I have written those 4 words there: symbolic, synonymous, legends, lores. तमो अरिं सर्वपापघ्नं we are using that in Surya, about sun, in that Navagraha Stuti. That gives you a clue to the use of sun in prediction. Don't think it is a mere stotra only. It is a stotra which has given you a hint about how sun should be used for predictions. Dharani garbha sambhutam. That you are describing Mars. Make no mistake. Don't think they are simple stotras. Those stotras contain symbolically the real secrets of predictive techniques. At what stage in India those people evolved them, I do not know. But it is brilliant. Second, now this stotra, this has been rendered best in English in Dr. Frawley's book Astrology of Seers. These 9 ones. You can see those things. Concentrate on the meaning of each and every word there. In Astrology of Seers, if I remember right, am I right? You have given an English meaning of this. That's the only book I have seen in English where it has been given. Now, concentrate on that. You get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 predictive principles. 1. Synonyms. Many books we have in our languages in our country will give you as many as 8, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 synonyms of each planet. I am fortunate today I met. आप एक मिनट यहाँ आ जाएं. आपका नाम बताइए.
पंडित हरीश व्यास.
पंडित हरीश
व्यास.
Vyas. Now, I just met him today here. He is from the pure classical astrological background of India, available to you in. Now, suppose you come across one of the synonyms of any one of these planets. Now, you take his help. He will tell you it can mean this, it can mean this, it can mean this. 40 synonyms can give you 40 different meanings, so 40 different starting points for your interpretation. Thank you. So I thought I would introduce him to you. Now, he comes from that classical background and well available to you fortunately here. So make use of these things. Now go into very flexible meanings. Third, you go to legends. They appear like legends to you, but they are for me the greatest treasures of astrological principles, greatest jewels. I will tell you how. One example I will give you. In the Padma Puran there is the story of Saturn. I told you already earlier also. Entering Rohini Nakshatra, which is known as Rohini Shakat in our classical astrology, causing famine wars. In this century, Saturn entered Rohini thrice, and all the 3 times India was involved in a war. But this you will not find in any astrological book. Now you have to read the Puranas or the other stories, and from there get a hint. That is why I always objected to the writings of men like Pingree. It is damned superstitious thing, because he thought all astrological hints were contained only in astrological books. In India, 80% of astrological material is in non-astrological books called Puranas. So much material you have on Mars in Shiv Purana. All my researches on Mars are based on Shiva Purana, not on any astrological text. My researches on Saturn are based on Mahabharata and Padma Purana. So I don't know why they think that in astrological text alone this would be there. In India, astrology is part of a total culture. In Shodash Sanskara, we make use of astrology. Valmiki tells, in Valmiki Ramayana, King Dashrath tells Ram, astrologers have told me because of this in my horoscope, I must now prepare for handing over the kingdom to you. And I want to do it on the day Pushya Nakshatra rules. Now that is all astrology, not in the book of Varahamihi's Brihad Jatak, not in Bhadrabahu Samhita, but in a Purana. So the Indian tradition is, you have to find out here also. So legends, lores, all these things you have to take as a source of astrological knowledge. Now I will start by dealing with a question in this session. The question is, Nadi or Bhrigu principles, do they show principles of karmic psychology? It is very important. In India, you know, we have what is known as Bhrigu Samhitas, from where, when you go, some readings about you are given. In the south, we have what are known as Nadi Granthas. From there it is given. How many of them are genuine? How many spurious? How many fraudulent? How many dependable? I am not here to express any opinion about it. All that I can tell you is some are dependable. That's all. It is your luck. But recently I did come across a case in Rajasthan where I had 3 readings, and he has, every time in the reading I had to go to his reading as it happened, every time before my trip to USA. And every time his readings about events in my life have been coming out correct. And he is not making use of any dasha, any antardasha, any navansha, any such thing. It is written down there, he reads it out. How can he, the very first time I went to him, the first sentence he showed me, written there was, you are a bhavishya vakta. That is, you foretell future. The first sentence in the manuscript, the moment you caught mine, you are a bhavishya vakta. It is written down there. Not that he has manipulated anything. He never knew who I was. So there is a definite karmic relation between Bhrigu Samhita readings and your life, provided you get correct Bhrigu Samhita. What I have done is, I have taken up some of those principles because my mother fortunately knew them. She told me some of them. I made use of Saturn, Jupiter very effectively. In my book, Ups and Downs in Career, it's full of use of Saturn, Jupiter. Snapshot, quick, fast method. In my book, Planets and Children, I have shown you, without the approval of Saturn and without the blessings of Jupiter, you cannot have a child. It is impossible. You cannot have a child. At San Diego, I had taken a very long session with you, 26 hours in 2 days. I have shown it. They have used it very effectively. Now I will be on a very short point. Do you expect happiness from your children? I have given in one full chapter here, but I will not deal with it. I will only draw your attention to two simple things in a horoscope here. It is given in the book, so I will give you simple plain this. This I have given in the book, so therefore I will only refer to this here, show you what I mean by karmic relations. I told you in karmic relations, three planets invariably we have been using: Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu. Here in this case, the husband's horoscope has Vrishchika, Scorpio as the ascendant, and Jupiter in the 10th house. Is this tea hot? Can I take it? This tea? Of idealism in both horoscopes is also the fifth lord. Clear? In both horoscope is the fifth lord. For Pisces ascendant, Jupiter is the fifth lord. For Scorpio, and for Leo, Jupiter is the fifth lord. I was only waiting for you, so I not started. For both ascendants, Jupiter is the fifth lord. Right? Notice it. You should not complain that you missed it.
Okay.
For both ascendants, Jupiter is the fifth lord. Right? 1. Jupiter, the planet of idealism. This is the husband's horoscope, which is his 7th house. 7th house for Scorpio. Where is the wife's Jupiter? In the 7th house of the husband. Right? And where is the husband Jupiter? In the ascendant of the wife. Right? That is the idealistic connection. 1. 2. Jupiter in both cases as fifth lord is in the 10th house. The horoscope of the parents proved lucky for all their children, and no child died in spite of whatever suffering may have come, and large unlimited families of pre-independence India. It is not the family planning that is being done now in India with 1 or 2 or maximum 3 children. Those days, having 8 or 10 or 15 children was very normal. But no child died. Nothing happened. What is known as Rinanubandhan, that is the word used. One of the most brilliant astrologers of India, who died only 3-4 years ago, whose books are available there, Ramakrishna Bhatt. Right there I saw his books. I am very happy they got them from India. Banarsi Das has brought them. I never met Ramakrishna Bhatt. He was the head of the department of Sanskrit and knew very good English, wrote very well in English, and his scholarship was absolutely brilliant. He uses one word, Rinanubandhan. Rin means debt. A debt, D-E-B-T. There is some debt you have towards your children and there is some debt your children have towards you. I have given the story of the Padma Puran. Yes, Padma Puran. What type of children you get? Why do you get them? What is the reason? I am not going to go into that. You please read that. Where there is interlinking. You have a child who serves you well till the rest of your life. You have a child who destroys you. It is not an unusual story. Why is that happening? Fifth house you are making use of for a child. Fifth house is Purva Punya. Don't forget that. Interlink both now. Fifth house is Purva Punya. Fifth house is child. There is a direct link between the two. Purva Punya means the spiritual merit of the past life. Right? Now that is becoming important. And in Gemini that is the Putra Karaka. Pardon? I am only making, so Rinanubandhan only means the debts of past life. Now I just want one copy of Astrology and Karma. I will go into detail with one case study which I have given at page 51. Shall I dictate the horoscope to you or shall I write down here and you will know, copy down? This is number 20. I am noting it down here. You may keep noting. This is the first and as far as I know the only astrogenetical study of manipulated birth time. What I mean by manipulated birth time is doctors give some time for the delivery of a child. Now he was a friend of mine. He is a friend of mine now in London. I have given the details here. In 1973, 22 years ago, he was a doctor in Patna and he wanted to go for higher degrees, FRCS, to London. For some reason or the other, it was becoming difficult. I had seen his horoscope and I had given him a prediction that he would go. One day he came and he told me that his wife was pregnant. We were 3 or 4 astrologers standing, and he asked me, what would be the sex of the child to be born? It's a very tough question. But on the basis of the available data, it becomes very easy if it is correct horoscope. I said a son. Then one day he came and said he wanted to fix the time of operation for the child to be born. And being a doctor, it was easy for him to do it. In such a case, what I do and what you must do is, first take up the horoscope of the parent, examine the birth horoscope and Saptantra minimum and the Dasha running. The Lagna is Mithuna, Gemini. This is the father's chart. This is the birth horoscope. I have given at page 51. And Saptansha is the 1/7 part of the father's horoscope. Saptansha. Right? The 5th house is receiving the aspect of Jupiter. And the 5th Lord Venus is also aspecting his own house from the 11th. In the Saptansha, the 5th Lord Saturn is in the company of exalted Mars and 11th Lord and exalted Jupiter in the 11th house with Venus. Those of you who attended my class on Dhani Yoga, please look into your notes and find out how many Dhani Yogas are there in the Saptansha here. Okay? Correct? Isn't it fantastic? Absolutely fantastic. Not ordinary Dhani Yogas, Mahadhani Yogas. Parashara's Mahadhani Yogas are present in the Saptansha, which means the child, how prosperous the child will have to grow. But it is before the birth of the child that the question is being examined. Right? Now, in the birth horoscope, the 5th house receives the aspects of Jupiter, Venus and Mars. And Mars. Repeat, and Mars. I'll repeat, and Mars. Why am I saying that? Pardon? I used one word right now. Rinanubandhan. Rin, I said, what is what? Debt. And debt is represented by which planet? Which house? 6th house. Who is the 6th lord of this horoscope? Mars. The 6th lord of this horoscope is aspecting the 5th house. So there is a rin, a debt, which a child has to discharge. And the nature of discharging will be through magnificent achievement. In other words, at some stage in some birth, the father prayed for a brilliant son. and in this birth he is bound to get one. God is fulfilling that prayer. There is a karmic bond. God is answering a prayer. Now an interesting question arises. In India and also here, they will ask you a question. If God is so merciful, if He fulfills everyone's prayer sincerely, why does it not happen right now? I said it need not happen right now, but it is bound to happen. The more you pray for worldly things, the greater is the bondage you create for yourself. How? Now take a typical case of 20 beautiful girls and 20 beautiful boys in a university. Right? Now these 20 beautiful boys fall in love with those 20 beautiful girls, but those 20 beautiful girls fall in love with some other 20 beautiful boys. Right? But those other 20 beautiful boys fall in love with some other 20 girls. So now you have got a group of 80. And all of them pray to God sincerely that their wishes should be fulfilled. God says, all right, I will fulfill all the wishes, but it not happen in one birth. So how many births you have to have? 80. Now work out. So the more you have the worldly desires, the greater is the enmeshing. Right? Now, which desire of which birth has got fulfilled in which we don't know, but prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, we talked about. Allotment, a birth horoscope is the allotment of the karmas you are to enjoy in this birth. That is prarabdha. And in that prarabdha, the fifth house is always prominent because that is puru janma punya. And therefore the child is related to your fifth house. If you remember, in Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra, in talking about curses about children, I have given something in my planets in children, and in the latest book on Rahu, again there are certain curses. So it is not merely curses. I am taking a beautiful, happy story of a rinanubandhan of a very positive side. So I said, well, I am seeing this promise. I could have gone wrong, but I predicted the birth of a son. Gemini's Putrakaraka, the fifth Lord Venus is in the 11th house, aspecting his own house. Gemini's Putrakaraka is Jupiter with Mercury. The Dharakaraka, forming a Raj Yoga, and is aspected by the moon, the Amatyakaraka, who is in the 10th house. Now see the whole brilliance of Gemini astrology here. Putrakaraka, Dharakaraka, Amatyakaraka, all the three, and apart from what you may call normal Parashari Gajikesari Yoga. Gemini, Putrakaraka, Dharakaraka, Amatyakaraka aspecting each other. Finally, see the sixth Lord Venus aspecting the fifth house, showing the Rinanubandhana. The fifth house has exalted Mars in the Saptantra, conjoined with Saturn and Moon, and is being aspected by exalted Jupiter and Venus from the 11th house. The sixth Lord aspecting the fifth house in the birth horoscope and also in the fifth house in the Saptantra is the reconfirmation of the Rinanubandhana. The benefic aspects with the Rinanubandhan causing Mars joining Saturn, the Rinanubandhan causing planet in the Saptantra shows the birth of a child who would repay the obligation towards his parents dutifully with spiritual zeal. He was passing through the major period of Venus, the fifth lord. Right? Major period of Venus. The lord of the fifth house, and the sub period of Jupiter aspecting the fifth house. The sub period was of Ketu in the ninth house. Ninth house is fifth from fifth, you know that. Ninth house is also to be taken for childbirth. Ninth house of foreign journeys. Venus as the 12th lord too was the promise of a foreign journey. So Venus, Jupiter, Ketu, period, the birth of a child and also the foreign journey of the father. Both are visible in the horoscope. The date of operation was fixed for December 14th, 1973. Now I am taking you through an exercise stage by stage. What I do always, here I always make use of a South Indian chart, never a North Indian chart. In the South Indian chart you can afford to put the planets without the Lagna. In a North Indian chart you cannot afford to do that. Right? So I took the planetary position of December 14, 1973, Jupiter, Venus both in Capricorn, Mars in Aries, Saturn and Ketu in Gemini, Moon in Cancer in his own house, Sun and Mercury in Scorpio, and Rahu in the 11th house. The degrees are Venus 1050, Jupiter 1719, Mars 351, Ketu 521, Saturn retrograde 830, Sun is 2831, Mercury is 1418, which means Mercury will be Vargottama in Navansha, and 521. Now Moon's degree I cannot fix because I have not fixed the Lagna. Right? So two things. Otherwise roughly you can take the planets and you know during the day it is not changing. Or roughly if the time for operation in a hospital is if the time for an operation in hospital is normally, let us say, from 9 in the morning up to 4 or 5 in the evening. It could be any time, but normally that time it takes. So I would take the planetary position between 9 in the morning and 4 in the evening and see whether any planet would be undergoing a change in the Navansha. But the Lagna I have not fixed and the Moon I have not fixed. Now you are asked to choose out of this which would be the best Lagna. So I first put the planets of December 14, 1973 in the chart without choosing the lagna. It was as follows. Now favorable points, 3 benefics, Jupiter, Venus and the Moon would be in Kendras. In other words, if I chose 1, 4 or 7 or 10, Aries, Cancer, Libra or Capricorn as the ascendant, Moon, Jupiter, Venus would be in Kendras. One advantage. Mercury would be Vargottama, that is in Navansha, Mercury would not undergo a change. Mars would be in his own house, in Mesha, his Moola Trikona Rashi. Moon would be in the nakshatra of Mercury, which was Vargottama. The points for consideration were, it should help the child to undertake a foreign journey very soon, because that was father's question. It should help the child to have a very good time for education. It should prove lucky for the father and also for his own foreign journey. It should above all be good for the health of the child. How about Makar Lagna? And it would arise round about 9 in the morning, which would suit any hospital also for an operation. I then prepared the Navansha without the Lagna, and then the Dwadashansha again without the Lagna. I decided that the Navansha Lagna should be Mesha, and the Dwadashansha Lagna should be Mithuna. It would be possible at 9:30 a.m. I fixed that time and gave predictions before the birth of the child, which I have given before. The child would be born in Rahu Venus. The importance of giving the opening dasha and antardasha, I stress again, every time I have told you that. Your computer programs in USA are not giving that. So now you fix the Lagna. Now this is the Lagna I have taken. Further considerations which weighed with me were 1a. Birth in the Dasha of Mercury, which was Vargottama in the 11th house, should be gainful for the father. 9th house represents father, because it was the 9th lord also, besides being the 6th lord. The birth would be in Mercury, Rahu, Venus. Rahu in the 12th house. If I fix this Lagna, Rahu would be in the 12th house of foreign journey. Ensured a foreign trip. Venus in the 5th house with the 12th lord Jupiter should ensure a foreign journey for education. Right? The Navansha should have some good merits as well. So therefore, I worked on the Navansha. Aries Navansha with Venus in it. Second house, Mars and Rahu. Third house Jupiter. Ketu and Mercury in the 8th house. Saturn in the 9th house. Moon in the 11th house. Sun in the 12th house. Pardon? But again Rahu Ketu axis. That will eclipse. Now in the Navansha there is a good exchange of the first and the second lords. Right? Mercury is Vargottama. The 5th lord Sun in the 12th again showed education in a foreign country. Jupiter aspected the moon in the Navansha while in the birth horoscope joined in the Gajikesari Yoga. Right? Then the Dwadashansha had to be fixed. Now the Dwadashansha was fixed like this. Now treat it as the horoscope of the father for the child. Now the Dwadashansha has been fixed like this. Gemini ascendant, 2nd house Jupiter exalted, 3rd house Ketu in Leo, 4th house Saturn in Virgo, 5th house Sun, 9th house Rahu, 11th house in Aries Mercury, in the 12th house Moon, Mars and Venus. What would be the dasha the child would be born in? Mercury, Rahu, Venus. In the Dwadashansha, Rahu is in the 9th house of father. Mercury is in the 11th house. Venus is in the 12th house and also the 12th lord. And Jupiter exalted in the 2nd house, Moon exalted in the 12th house, Venus in his own house. You see, it is like fixing a muhurta now. When you have to fix, you find out according to the requirements, according to the demands made on you. The demand, here I knew he was a very intimate friend of mine. The demand was that he should be able to go abroad to do his higher studies, medical studies. Now I have to fix something good for him, good for his child, for the child to be born. I have to think not merely about him and of him, but of also thank you, of also the child. And I have already shown you from the horoscope of the father, in the case of Rinanubandhan, it is the most brilliant thing. The son is going to do so much good to the father, going to repay some great debts of a past life. The dasha sequence then would be the balance of an unexpired portion of Mercury dasha would be about 5 years and 7 months. The child, he would get 5 years and 7 months. Then after Mercury you will get what? Ketu. 7 years. 7 plus 5. After that, which is the dasha he gets? How many years? 20. That is a very crucial period for a child making a career in that period. Remember, now here comes in, whenever you are giving a reading or a prediction like this, Desh, Kal, Patra, these are the words we use. You have to give it according to the climb, the person, the condition. Here is an Indian father, a very orthodox father, coming from a deeply religious background in eastern state of Bihar. And he asked me, and his ambition was to go and have a higher degree. And a very ideal good father, any fine saint or yogi, whosoever went to Patna, could straight away go to their house, they received them, they looked after them very well. A very idealistic family, very spiritual family. So, and I know an Indian would never want his child to have bad education between the ages of 10 and 25. It is very normal. Even in USA you will find Indians are very keen that their children should study well in that age group. Indians would sell off their property if necessary. They will sell off their houses, their property, anything, to meet the expenses of a child's education. That is the big obligation every Indian father always wants to discharge. So I said I would try to make out a horoscope which would help the son, which would help the father, both. And at a crucial stage in his life, he would get the best of the Yoga-karak dashas, that of Venus. Why I chose this Lagna, this Navansha and this Dwadashansha? Now I have explained. Of course, I would have seen it from other angles also, but here, for the purposes of this case, I am presenting it as from only through Vinshotri Dasha by making use of 3 divisional horoscopes only. What happened? I had no way of getting a feedback as I was transferred out of Patna and lost touch with him. But I remembered him and his family as very spiritual and traditional. Our relationship was based on mutual and shared respect. Sometime in 1992, the doctor had visited India, found out for my address. Imagine, 20 years later, and told me that 1. His son was doing very well in his studies. 2. That he himself had left for UK on December 9th, 1975, within 2 years of the birth of the son. 3. He had, as predicted by me, done his Fellow of Royal College of Surgeons course in 1990. He had done another higher degree as an eye specialist called FC Ophthalmology. He visited me 1 year later also. Next year also he came and told me that his son had stood first class first in a combined examination in England and had been offered admission by 5 universities. He was also not only the most meritorious student of the year, but had also broken many old academic records. Prediction given in 1973 before the birth, and in 1993, 20 years later, when I got a feedback, made me immensely happy. This is the only case where I have been able to watch the results over a period of 20 years. I am aware that mine is the only case study in which I could get all details. This is the only published astrogenetical case of a birth time chosen, but after examining the horoscope of the father, in which the promise of the birth of a bright child had already existed. Please, I'll re-emphasize this point. In the father's horoscope, the promise of the birth of a bright child had already existed. Right? It means that even if I had not chosen such a time, the son would have been what he is. Right? He was bound to have a bright son. It was God's will that I got the credit. Right? For a good prediction. And I am able to present very proudly an astrogenetical study before you. But in fact, what is the truth? The truth is God had decided that, and he had to have a bright child. In some other cases, when the birth was determined by doctors and approved by astrologers, the results have not been spectacular. The horoscopes of the parents were not of much help. There was no promise of a very bright child. All that the time chosen could have done was to contain the evil promises in the horoscopes of the parents. In other words, it still has a value. Minimize the evil effects of the parent's horoscope by choosing a good time for operation. But by choosing a good time for operation, you are not succeeding in causing the birth of a great child. If the promise of a great child is not there in the horoscope of parents, you do whatever you like. I have seen many other cases. But in those cases, the feedback with me is only of 10-12 years. Now 10-12 years feedback is too short. You have to allow a child to cross the teenage. Then you know how the child has shaped. Now why the teenage? Come on, tell me, you know better. Why you must watch till the teenage?
Are you talking to me? Oh, I thought you were talking to Julie. He's got a teenager. No. Oh, I don't have a teenager. Because they're into their own spiritual development. Well, past 8.
Ton. Till the child has crossed the teenage, he can keep on tunning his parents. Gives a lot of trouble. Teenage is the age of revolt. It is after the child begins to settle down psychologically into some sort of a steady mental groove. If up to the teenage you disturb a child, the child revolts. Handling a child up to teenage is a real skill of parental upbringing. Make no mistake, anywhere in the world. It was not there during our times in the India of our days, but it is there even now in India. A teenager child will respect you maximum when he knows that you have cared for him or her and her ego and emotions properly. So I say watch till teenage, and after that the child is on its own. So up to the crossing of the teenage I watch the dasha. In other cases I have 10-12 years of feedback. It is too short according to me. The children are doing ordinarily well, not extraordinarily well. But in this case, the child has been doing extraordinarily well. Apart from that, the most significant point is this boy is a terrible, beautiful linguist. He knows Sanskrit, Hindi, English, Persian, Urdu, French, God knows how many languages. He just picks up like this. And this time he wants to come to India to discuss astrology with me. He has read all my books of astrology. He says, I want to discuss astrology with the person who fixed my birth time before my... He said, I must discuss astrology only with him. Before his birth, I fixed it, gave the predictions, it would happen like this. This is an astrogenetical study. We can break for tea for some time and come back, and then I'll take up the last one. Right?